time, we should probably all go to get some kip. Start again early in the morning.
And where would that be? I don't want to impose on Aidan if I don't have to.
I can make some room in the fabric storage upstairs, if you would want to sleep here.
Oh yes, certainly. It seems like, says Aidan, that you're all in the middle of something. So I wouldn't really want to break up the band, as it were. And we can as Faria can definitely make space, and I'm happy to provide tea and kind of breakfast.
Fabric sounds soft to lie on as well.
I mean, they're bolts of fabric, so if you don't mind it being sort of like a set of rollers, then. There's an attic as well. If that's more Jack's thing.
Just seeing if I've got anything nice to lie on.
You probably have a bedroll.
I've got some kind of cipher notebook referencing back to, and I've got another nice book that says "Property of Professor Bustiers." I'm not going to sleep on those though. Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be nice to.
I think Wendy would be a little bit hesitant, but since it's Faria and Aidan, if anything was needed in terms of artificer maintenance the next morning, then I think, I'm in the best place possible.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think some kind of bustling about starts as people start making up beds, clearing space, getting out spare kind of bedrolls and glorified futons. I think amidst this bustle, Aidan kind of directs Wendy to maybe head next door to borrow some extra bedding from one of the neighbours. And I think as this happens, you encounter someone that you recognise as one of the neighbours is a kind of a child who often you find running errands and is you will know as being an orphan, or at least someone who has somehow lost their parents, who you have been careful, because I'm going to throw in some aspects of Wendy backstory that, and you can veto these if you desire. But I think that Wendy keeps an eye on children who are either without parents or in tenuous situations, both as a nice thing to do for the community, but also with the kind of ulterior motive of people who are without parents are at risk of certain metaphysical dangers that you're very conscious of.
Correct. Yes.
So this is someone from, this is a child called Scraps, who is another tabaxi, this one's a more kind of dog-like rather than vulpine, so canine, that's the word I was looking for. And yeah, Scraps is just you meet them as they're coming out of the house carrying an extra bedroll to bring over.
Okay.
Scraps is someone who you often get to carry messages or to kind of bring you information about stuff that's happening out and about.
Sure.
And let me just get to a certain part of my notes. Yeah, and when Scraps sees you, the kind of eyes widen and they go, "Oh, Wendy! I mean, Cap'n! Good to see you. I didn't realize you were around. Oh wow, does this mean have you got a kind of like a job for me? Anything you need to know, or anything that any messages? What's going on?"
Do you know Alan Shaw? About yay high, wears a long jacket, usually getting himself in trouble.
Yeah, I've seen Alan around. I think I saw him jump over a rooftop once and then fall into a trough that the horses
is
were drinking out of.
definitely Alan. If you see him around, can you mention that I'm staying with Faria and Aidan at the moment?
Oh yeah. I'll pass that on if I see him. I'll let some of the other kids know as well. So we'll keep an eye out. Yeah. Ooh, gosh. Like,
Is everything okay?
well, I know we keep hearing some of the other kids are a bit worried, and now I'm a little worried. You know, these things kind of pass on. It just seems like there's stuff happening, like dangerous stuff. Is everything gonna be okay?
Look, I can absolutely guarantee that you will be completely fine. I promise. Oh, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that I still owed you a copper piece from the last message. So here's a copper piece from the last message, and here's one for when you managed to give this message to Alan. Call it an upfront.
Oh wow. Upfront payment. That's rare. That's great. Thank you. Oh, I'll be sure to look extra hard for Alan. Oh, great. Give me a insight or arcana check at this point.
Okay, it'll probably be insight. Yeah, definitely be insight. I've just taken off 2 copper pieces from my sheet as well. So 16 plus 3, so 19 on my insight.
Yeah, I think they'll give this to you. So, first of all, just in terms of what you kind of intuit from this, there's Scraps is someone who, along with some of the other kind of like urchin types that you've befriended and look after, usually has a really good vibe for what's going on kind of like street level. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Scraps is worried about stuff, yeah, it means that the consequences of what's afoot in Ramshackle is definitely starting to spread. And that people definitely on like the ground level are starting to get worried about fallout from that. Mm. On a more personal level with Scraps is kind of quite worried about Scraps' neighborhood, living here in Puzzle, and wants to keep it safe, especially as Scraps isn't someone who's had like often has a steady home, and is scared of losing that. I think what you notice in the act of giving Scraps this task and giving Scraps these kind of copper pieces as well is that a bit of that worry that Scraps probably isn't even aware of where it comes from, because it comes from that kind of fear of being abandoned, of being lost, and almost like subconscious knowledge that there is a certain pathway that Scraps might have started down, and an apprehension, almost magical apprehension of where that leads, and that by kind of grounding Scraps more in kind of practical tasks that she can do to tie her into both her community here in Puzzle and also strengthening that connection to you is almost like Scraps is kind of taking a little step back from that. But you are conscious as well that depending on how things shake out, Scraps could end up heading down that path again.
Okay, I'll definitely make a mental note to myself to check in on Scraps more often, and I might in the morning see if I can talk to Aidan about potentially getting Scraps to do bits and pieces, which I'm happy to pay the copper for, but especially if Faria is going to be out and about over the next short while, shall we say. I think keeping Scraps busy and out of trouble might be a good thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aidan kind of agrees. He goes, "Oh, yes, definitely. Especially if Farah's going to be out running errands, I could use a bit of extra help around the house, help fetching things. Jolly good."
So can I give Aidan, how many coppers have I got? How many coppers to a silver?
10.
10. Can I give Aidan 1 silver that I'm assuming he can break down into coppers, just to, sorry, I'm just making a note, to basically keep Scraps a little bit out of trouble, but also to be useful.
Yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
Cool.
And I think
Jack rolling their eyes at Wendy at this point.
You've just paid somebody a retainer.
a little bit.
Little kid. Do you want me to break that silver into some coppers for you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'll give you 8 coppers for the silver.
I'm sure Aidan can cope.
Well, it's your money.
It is absolutely, and made with hard work.
We all work hard.
Faria just kind of awkwardly staring at a cup of tea while this conversation's going on, like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think at that point, Scraps kind of runs back over and takes Wendy's hand and looks up with big wide eyes. Goes, so we're gonna be okay. Like Puzzle's gonna be all right.
Puzzle is absolutely going to be all right, Scraps.
You promise?
I can promise that I will obviously do everything in my power to make sure that everyone, including you, stays safe.
Okay, it's a deal. And shakes your hand with a little hand.
So adorable. Yes, well, I should probably get some sleep.
Lovely. And indeed, just as you are settling in for the night, you hear and as you're kind of brought down the shutters and closed the door, and you're starting to move around and thinking about putting out the lights, there is a knock on the door.
It's probably best if I'll answer it.
What could possibly go wrong?
You open the door, and there is a figure that certainly Jack will recognize at the door. This is Grand Orderly Austin, so a person wearing an orderly uniform. It's up to you if Faria might have met them/her before.
I might have seen them in passing, but I don't think I would know them directly.
Yeah, that's right. And this person knocks, and they're fairly well-built, femme but bearded person who is looking kind of down at you in kind of orderly uniform and armor. Says, "Hello, it's Miss Faria, is it?"
Yes. Can I help you?
Hi. Yes, I am. I've been asking around looking for Jack Pelarkin, and I have been directed here somewhere that she might have ended up. Is it possible I can speak with her? Is she here?
Gosh darn it, Jack. What have you done now?
Oh, no.
Can I hear what's going on?
Yeah, you can absolutely hear this.
Okay, I'll walk across. Just open the door more widely.
Okay.
Austin! Me old mucker.
Jack, what the bloody hell has been going on? What in all the hells has been? There was a scene at the college that people had said there'd been a fight in the quad, and there was blood and brain matter, and one of the sewers was open.
Yeah.
And there was still a body in the office.
Yeah, following up on leads. I can't do anything with the body. I have no power to do something with the body.
That's what I was expecting you to maybe check in once you'd had a chance to investigate. What's been happening?
It's been all go all day. We've got some great leads. I've sworn in a posse. These, do you know Wendy? I mean, we've surely.
Yes, I believe I'm aware of Wendy. Hello,
yeah.
Captain Quill.
And I've subcontracted some of the work because there's just too much for me to deal with. And you can't expect me to do everything in one day.
I expect you to at least check in. Jack, unless you have been drunk all day, I know you are competent. And there's stuff going on. I don't know exactly what it is, but obviously, the gate opened yesterday.
Yeah.
Some forces are at work in the city that are beyond my pay grade, but I know it's going to be my problem.
Yeah.
And
I put my arm around her and kind of draw her into the room. And is there a fire somewhere in here as well?
yeah, you probably just put out the fire for the night, because there'll be there's like a little forge that doubles as the fireplace for the room.
Yeah. So I kind of move across and I'm trying to soothe her and just quietly saying, look, I've met, this is, we got into this, and I start relating certain key points, not all the detail or anything like that. Just
Previously on.
little blow by blow, kind of making sure that she could see how much danger I was in, and how I've really made some progress. And I kind of wave my book at her, and doing all of this, I try to slip a certain little bronze dragonfly into her pocket as well.
Marvelous. Give me a sleight of hand check.
I knew this was coming. Hold on, where's my sleight of hand? Which one is that then? Yeah. Oh, I've got +5 on this. Brilliant. Ah, so that's 11 + 5, 16.
Very good. You are talking through the points of the day. Austin is keenly following along with the various points, and seems to have gotten wrapped up in the story, kind of despite themselves. And yeah, you slip the little dragonfly into a pocket, and Austin does not react to this. Meanwhile, please also do give me a persuasion check to convince Austin that you are indeed in control of this investigation.
Oh, 19!
Hey.
And do I have anything else on that?
You'll have your charisma bonus.
Yeah, so that takes me to 22.
Lovely. Yes, you are indeed very persuasive. This story is well told. It has a beginning and a middle, and you are confidently assuring them that there will be a satisfactory end.
Yes, I've also steered them away from Anahis. I don't want to talking to Anahis.
Very good. I was going to ask, are you mentioning Anahis to her?
I've mentioned him, but I have not mentioned that he is sitting in the corner.
His mage hand to pull the curtain across.
Grand. So yeah, I think during this explanation as well, she will have asked you for a description of Anahis when he was mentioned. Are you going to give an accurate description, or
no? I'm going to give a different one. Kind of weird him up a bit.
Great. I mean, in fact, given that Anahis originally appeared to you in a slightly different form, with kind of greenish skin, I think you probably just describe the original, slightly uncanny valley form of Anahis.
Yeah.
And yeah, big up the differences. And Austin seems placated by this and says, "Look, you've got to keep me updated, because look, Chief Leotris is really on my case about this. He's got some kind of, I almost think that he's got some kind of like personal investment in what's going on, and someone on the council, I think, might be leveraging him to get this situation resolved in some fashion."
Yeah, I'm on top of that. I can't tell you anything now, but I'm on top of that as well.
Okay, right.
And I'm kind of steering her back towards the door now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that my chat. Oh dear, the door's now closed.
Absolutely. And you successfully, you with that 22 persuasion check, you manage this, and she just stops you in the doorway and kind of takes you and goes, "Look, Jack, I'm trusting you with a lot here. Like, I know that I'm paying you for this, but this is also for the good of the city, and I can't be as involved as I'd like to be because it's weird interplanar politics shit."
Yeah, it's good. No problem. Not have I even asked you for any more money. No, things are going that well.
Yeah, they must be going well.
Now she's sus. Now she knows you're sus, Jack.
No, I think she's taking that up at the face value. Like, it must be going. Yeah, you must be like enjoying this case if you're not asking for anything more.
Yeah.
And she walks off into the night. And as she walks off, she goes, "Oh, Miss Faria, you had some post outside the door."
Oh, thank you. Yes, I will go get it.
Is it a
And
flyer?
it is a
swear.
sealed. It is a sealed envelope with a drawn. Sorry, it's sealed with wax, and on the wax seal has an image of a lock and key on it.
Interesting.
Okay, I will slip it open.
That was great. And inside the envelope, there's a couple of pieces of paper and also something kind of weighty at the bottom, which seems to be you tip it out, and it's a die, a 6-sided die made of what looks like of some kind of bleached bone.
How weird.
And
I was just saying how weird.
yeah. And there are a couple of pieces of paper. There's writing on them.
Okay, can I read it?
Absolutely. So you kind of scan the first piece of paper, and at the bottom there is it is signed Sibella.
Oh.
And it effectively reads, I'll paraphrase, it is basically says, I have arranged a meeting for tomorrow for you with High Warden Naramsin, as requested. I encourage you to approach this meeting with all due deference and caution. It is a great honor for you to be treated to this audience, and I'm taking a great risk by setting this up. And you're instructed to go to a certain place, effectively more or less in the middle of the city. So effectively in the perimeter, close to the gate. You were then instructed to be there at the 7th bell of the evening tomorrow, and then at the stroke of the 7th bell, you're instructed to roll the dice, and then go to whichever of the 6 locations it directs you to. And on the second slip of paper, numbered 1 to 6, are 6 locations. Each of them is about an hour's walk from that central location you're instructed to head to in the first place. One is a forbidden, a church that's been walled off in the district of Candle, that has been in some way forbidden. One is a watchtower in the district of Chain that is fallen into disuse. The third is a private room in a fancy restaurant in the district of Hart. The fourth is a hedge maze in the district of Harvest. The fifth is a certain occult library in the district of Puzzle, your home district. And the final one is an alleyway in the district of Shadow.
Wow.
What could possibly go wrong?
And the instructions read that the dice which is twinned with this one, when you roll it, will essentially roll itself to the same number, so that both parties, yourselves and the wardens, will then know which location has been randomly chosen. So you will be able to both be assured that no one has been able to lay a trap in advance.
Okay.
Can we roll the die a couple of times on this side to make sure it's not loaded?
You absolutely can. And you roll a couple of times, and it comes up with different numbers.
Okay.
Was of course assuming that they haven't just set a trap in all of these places that were waiting for us, so they can guarantee that they'll always have the upper hand. But
and there's 6, and there aren't 6 of us, so we can't preempt. And to be honest, I'm incredibly tired, so I don't fancy going to scope these now.
yeah,
It's dark anyway.
yeah.
It is.
Okay. So I obviously relay this information to everyone, or let them read the letters. So we're all up to speed.
I think that's all
Excellent.
good. We know what we're doing tomorrow morning.
So this meeting is set for tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow evening. So we've got a whole day of adventuring before this happens as well.
I don't think there's anything else that Wendy specifically would want to do or ask or anything like that. She needs to make sure that she has time to properly care for her grappling hook before bed as well.
Can I determine anything else from the paper or the ink or anything like that might, I don't know, give an indication of what sort of resources they have? Or, it's just a fairly standard letter.
It seems fairly standard. It's just cheap paper. Not much you can tell about the ink. It's just.
Jack is well up for this. Jack is very happy with this whole situation. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, would not mind doing some reading before tomorrow. I'll probably go upstairs and shove my face into a few books.
For now, what are you reading?
There's some. Faria's got a couple of volumes about the nature of arcane sort of transference through the body and sorcery and things like that, but also others that are about trapping magic inside mechanical devices, kind of flipping between them to try and correlate the ideas of sorcery with the ideas of mechanics and stuff like that. And
very cool. Yeah, in fact, as you are settling in to read, and everyone else is starting to settle in for bed, where is Faria sleeping? Is Faria settling in upstairs?
She has her room upstairs.
Great. So just as you've been reading for about an hour, there's a gentle knock at the door.
Okay. I'll sort of crack it open and take a look through.
And floating outside the door is Posit.
Oh.
Hello, it is I, Posit.
Goodness, hello.
How did Posit knock on the door? Sorry, I just had this like.
Effectively, Posit headbutted the door.
Asking the important questions. Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
No, that's absolutely fine. But says, I was wondering if you could help me with something.
Of course, yeah.
So I have found, since I have been reunited with the knowledge within Ick, that I am not functioning as I was expecting to. I'm having difficulty amalgamating that knowledge within myself. I think the issue might be that Ick is a living creature. And while possessing the knowledge that was previously contained within my library is not actually a book.
Emotions are hard and they're not easy to regulate. And living things have odd rhythms, whereas knowledge stays more consistent, I think.
Indeed, it's very strange. And I was wondering, and I did consult Ick about this, and Ick makes some kind of clicking, slithering sounds that are not unlike speech. Yes, I agree. And we were wondering, seeing as you seem to be in the business of magic and of making things, you might be able to help.
Yeah, I would do my best. Tell me specifically about what you think I can do.
Well, that's a good question. Based on my knowledge, well, perhaps I'll show you a little bit of the theory underpinning my existence, and the kind of like glass cabinets on Ick's front side start to glow slightly with kind of arcane glyphs and wards and various diagrams of kind of like ritual circles and various equations of balanced kind of magical forces. Perhaps there is something we can do to adjust the basic kind of magical theorems at play that animate me to incorporate a more living repository into the repository.
Okay, so I sort of tuning your ability to receive the information, I suppose.
Indeed. And yeah, I would like you to. In fact, I think you can know this, is that the process that's describing would be not entirely unlike how a living person attunes to a magical item,
Okay.
but almost reversed. You are helping a magical item attune to a living creature.
Okay. Interesting.
And I'll ask you to make either an Arcana check, or if you want to do this via more of a kind of like crafting route, some kind of Smith tools or Tinkerer's tools check.
Let's see. I think I only have a +2 for I have +2 for both, so it'll be the same.
Cool. Is it just a +2?
I think so. For my Arcana, yes, Smith tools is only a proficiency. It's not an expertise or anything. Unless
cool,
something else is added to it.
Let's see. So that would come off dex, so you could add your +1 to that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that could be a +3.
Cool. 18.
Excellent. So a couple of things become apparent. One is that you can kind of reverse engineer this process, and what you do is with Posit's help and guidance, you almost kind of like rub out some of the existing equations and kind of huff on the glass to steam it up and draw the replacement kind of glyphs and equations in the steam, and then they kind of light up and glow with magical energy, and you are able to construct a basic but functional bond between Posit and Ick. You are aware that this is something you could possibly strengthen over time with repeated checks, and especially if you become more skilled in this and are able to get to mechanically to hit greater thresholds on the numbers. If you manage to roll, say, a 20+ on this in the future, that would definitely make the connection stronger. What you manage to do in the meantime is give Posit, at least after you've tried a few different combinations, there's kind of the arcane energy kind of swells, the geometric patterns displayed across Posit's surface kind of light up and almost swirl in a very pleasing kind of settled and balanced pattern. And there's a small burst of magical energy, and the same glyphs light up on Ick that light up on Posit. And Posit says, yes, I'm now able to access some of the... It seems that the book that Ick devoured was Ambrose Mab's diary, which had previously been kept in my repository for safekeeping. I'm not able to quite read all of it yet, but in time I suspect I will be able to. This is a most interesting passage. And reads it out in a voice that you do not recognize, but suspect would be an arcane reproduction of Ambrose Mab's voice. And what it says is, but if what I suspect is true, then the tangle is not just a fascinating anomaly, as Bustius believed, but may help explain the anomalous nature of Ramshackle itself. And if the mystery of the gate can be so explained, what does that mean for us? What reparations should be made? What wonders could we create via the science of theurgic translocation? And what further dangers might the gate unlock? Also, given the connection you have made, I will allow you to ask one question to Ick and Posit, at either now or at any point in the future that you like, about the contents of that diary.
Okay, cool.
And it will answer as best its combined knowledge and the knowledge of Ambrose Mab would be able.
Cool.
And I think that's possibly a nice place to call it for this afternoon. Yes.
There we go.
So thank you very much. I'm glad we're all able to get together, and I hope that was fun for everyone.
Let us go to sleep now.
Yeah, you're now able to sleep. Who knows? Nothing might even happen during the night. Yeah.
That was really good.
We hit our stride eventually, didn't we?
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get going, I'm not going to lie. I think that's mostly my brain going, names. Good luck with that. I'm out of here.
But I think given where you were at in the story, this was always going to be one where you kind of regrouped and took stock. So I think that was probably a good session to be in that headspace for.
Yeah.
A bit of good editing and that should come out okay. It's all down to you, Hugo.
Yeah, that's fine. I really like it.
So yeah, call it 5 minutes. We'll be back at about 22 minutes past or so.
Cool, no problem.
Cool.
I just had this really lovely mental image of everyone coming back into the workshop and Aidan being worried and all of us just being like, no, it's okay, we've got each other's backs, don't worry. It was a little kind of like mental hug moment.
Yeah, very nice. And yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone has been looking after me. So it's like, yeah, I'm not lying. What kind of lying? But
You've been kind of disaster prone, really.
a little bit. Some of it was bad luck, but some of it was also like, I know what I need to improve, and it's like, okay, you know, when you you think I'm doing okay, and then you put in a situation where it's like, okay, now I know that I'm not okay, but I am determined to be. You know, that's kind of where I feel Faria is right now. Yeah, mood.
We need team building.
Yeah.
No, I think we're sort of getting to the stage now where even though it's just been a day, like the characters kind of understand one another a lot better already.
Yeah.
Wendy and Jack do not get on.
Wendy and Jack do. I think there's some level of grudging respect there on Wendy's side of things, but she just thinks that Jack's a bit takes too many liberties, I think.
Jack thinks that Wendy is a bit of a kind of prudish, straight-laced, stop dicking about Jack kind of person.
Yeah.
I feel like there is this kind of like it's very weird how you have out of the two like pairs of people, you have Alan who's chaotic and Jack who's chaotic, and then Wendy and Faria who are kind of more the straight kind of foil to them. But it's almost like there's a harder chaotic interaction and a more kind of like jovial one on the other side. It's very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it works really well, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
I think we're really portraying shared history as well.
Yeah, very much.
I think it really feels like we've been down a few roads.
Yeah.
And come out the other side, and so even though we may not get on, it's...
Yeah, I quite like that the characters don't have to start from scratch, and I also like that we know each other as people well enough to be able to sort of riff a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you're, meeting someone around a gaming table, you don't want to step on any toes, whereas, we can say, Faria and her dad have probably worked on, Wendy's grappling hook once or twice, or, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's always the bit I have the hardest time with is kind of that more light-hearted kind of joshing each other, because I don't like typically making jokes about people. It makes me very like anxious. But when you get along with someone and you know them to the point where you can make those, you can start to kind of sort of step it up a little bit, but there's still that kind of trepidation of like, you know, how far can I go, knowing that this is a really ridiculous situation where you would have this kind of sardonic humor about what you're going through, but also know that we are all, you know, I don't want to say sensitive people, but like that we do have that kind of neurodiverse element of, you know, stuff like that. But I think that also adds to the sense of you increase the understanding that you have for each other, and like, you know, knowing, okay, well, they need this help or they need that kind of boost one way or another. And I think that's one of the nice things about D&D generally, but also like when you have a really nice group that knows each other, how satisfying it is to have that. Sorry, I'm rambling.
You know, it's also good that we can step in and out of the character, although it doesn't. We're not like like that, but we are stepping in and out of the characters.
Yeah.
And you know, if Sarah and I get quite when we're in it, it's kind of and then we immediately step out of the characters and everything's kind of fine again.
Yeah. I think it helps when they are characters that you kind of know very intrinsically. Like, I mean, how is that for you, Sarah, being Wendy that isn't technically yours?
It's really tough, to be honest, and I definitely have a type of character that I tend to always play, and Wendy is very similar to my Morgan Taft character, who was the character I was mentioning at the start, that I, you know, played in school, and sort of many iterations on, you know, role play boards online and that sort of thing, and quite a bit of a hard ass, straight shooting, doesn't take any nonsense figure. So I'm trying to add sort of little nuances, but to be honest, I find it really tough. I do find it difficult not to be very one-dimensional and just be the sort of, you know, headmistressy kind of. Don't know what that says about me, but yeah.
I think it's good though, because one of the problems that can happen in D&D is like this kind of decision paralysis. So it is good to have someone who is like, or a couple of people who are like used to taking the lead, which I'm very much not used to doing. So I think that's something that I've appreciated, because it's like, what do you do? And I'm like,
things.
Yeah.
It is now 4:24 p.m. where I am. My executive function is now here.
Yeah.
My character beats that I sent in to James a few weeks ago, I've been dreading some of them popping up.
I need to double check mine. I can't remember what some of mine are, and I should probably check, because I think there are a couple on there that will help me to build a bit more nuance into the character.
Yeah.
Judicious use of the editing button, Hugo, but we should have some good material out of that first. I think a bit of a recap is actually quite a good idea.
Yeah.
You know.
Previously on IQ D&D.
Well,
you get this in Murder Mysteries, that at some point they sit down and review everything that's been happening, because, you know, so much has happened and the reader's probably forgotten half of it.
Yeah. And it can be tricky, like when you explain it the first time, you think, oh, okay, and then you come back into it, you're like, hang on a minute, there are a lot of names here that I'm not familiar with, and you know, that's kind of something that you know, I mean, you've probably come across with editing. It's like, okay, can you reintroduce this concept like a couple of chapters on, because just so that readers are aware.